actually, we were at a dead body not too long ago, and we were just having a talk about, like, the soup situation.
Oh, the soup situation, yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to our, as of yet, unnamed podcast, because we are a little bit indecisive. I am your host, Shad Neon 500, but most people just call me Shad. Joining me today are my lovely co-hosts, Kyrie and Pending. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, I'm Kyrie. Hello, that is Pending.
I am Pending.
We are Kyrie and Pending. Woo!
Yeah. Bow bow.
Bow bow.
Wait a minute, we can't do that. We can't. No. We can't do that. That is a copyrighted
Damn.
material.
Is bow bow copyright? Oh no.
I probably.
Yeah. That's unfortunate.
All right.
Well, it's a good thing this is just the pilot episode of this podcast.
You can edit things out, right?
The entire reason
yeah.
this thing is being pre-recorded is so I can edit things out.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
We'll give
it
you lots
works,
of work.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Well, how about this? I'm Kyrie, I'm your queen, I'm the editor of your stream, and I will be here to make your mind serene.
That's
that
great.
works. Pending.
I'm Pending. I don't have a rhyme. I am a ghost boy, and I was thinking ahead of time, like, what a power move it would be is if our first stream we just did not talk, or our first podcast.
The first podcast,
Yeah.
we just,
It's
like,
a nodcast.
it's a
You just say,
non-cast.
Well, because one of the names we're thinking of is Unspoken,
yeah,
because SPK is in that title, and we are Shad, Kyrie, and Pending. And if it's an unspoken podcast, then we can just stare into our microphones, not saying anything.
You know, that would be a lot better of a bit if, like, we had any
That's
sort of
our
visual
April
component.
Fool's Day bit.
Okay, you know what? We'll hold it for
That's
April 1st. That'll be
That'll
the
be the
April
April
1st podcast bit, which is really funny because I
man.
am aiming to release these on the 1st.
Yeah, so when I
Yeah.
was thinking about names, because you know how we were talking about it last night,
Yeah.
and I came up with way too many because I don't have a life when I work.
Fair.
I sat down and I was thinking of different ways to, like, make different words out of SPK, and then I'm like SKP, and I'm like, well, there could be a PKS, and I'm like, nah, like, I wanted Shad's name to be first because this is his idea, this is his, project, and we're kind of
Yeah.
just helping, right? So I'm like, S has to come first. And I'm like, we talked about the topic for this, like, starting point for the pilot episode about, like, media and stuff like that we don't usually share, like,
Yes.
we don't, like, talk about often. And I'm like, okay, so it's really the intrusive thoughts that we don't actually go through with.
That is,
I'm like,
oh God, what are we trying to have this podcast be?
No, but I was thinking it's the unspoken things that we don't talk about, like, and I'm like, there's so many stories that, like, me and Pending and you just don't share, that we kind of, like, share with each other, but we don't share with the other viewers that we have. And then, like, this is a pretty good chance for all those unspoken stories to just come out.
Oh God, is this gonna be like a group therapy session for us? Is just like all the
Probably.
weird stories gonna come out now?
Probably.
Oh boy.
Like about the story how Shad has eaten soup and he's been doing the whole, oh, I don't eat anything for the views.
Anyone coming into this podcast is not gonna know what the heck we're talking about.
We will
Okay.
have an entire episode dedicated to that. That's going to be the
Oh
next thing.
God, we're gonna.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Look forward-
Are we, oh.
Look forward to our detailed analysis on the fact that Shad
Doesn't
he doesn't consume food. If you,
Food
you
is
come out of
optional.
if you come out of this podcast knowing nothing at all, Shaddock Neon, your host, has never tasted food or liquid in his life.
That is a straight up lie.
He subsists entirely off of sunlight, which is ironic because he also doesn't venture outside.
No. I will say, Shad does walk like once a day.
I try to.
Don't you usually take like an hour walk or half-hour walk like every day?
So I have ever since the winter came, I have been like, okay, you know what? Walking in the winter kind of sucks. I don't want to go out for a walk in the winter. Yeah. Instead, I will use the winter like byproduct that is snow to get my exercising in, because shoveling snow is a very strenuous activity.
Sure.
Big problem that happened this winter. It didn't snow.
Not a lot, no.
Not a lot. It snowed like twice where we actually had to get out and shovel.
Yeah, like whereas you could potentially turn walking into a daily activity, shoveling snow, not so much.
Shoveling snow, not so much, but my idea was, even if I don't get to shovel snow every single day, there'll still be enough where it'll be, and it's usually a big enough exercise where I'm like, yeah, this is nice.
So
like
what I'm hearing is you become weak due to global warming.
I became weak due to climate change. You are absolutely correct.
Yes.
Are you a polar bear?
No, polar bears eat.
They eat fish? Shad, have you ever had fish? Don't answer that. We'll answer it on the next podcast.
We're saving it for sweeps.
Oh, okay. I will censor my answer in post so they don't know. If I remember.
Yeah.
God knows I might. We're probably going to have like hours of footage I'm going to have to comb through.
Hey, look, we had our first tangent.
Oh boy, didn't
have we actually
ever.
had a topic yet?
We haven't even introduced what the names...
I mentioned what the topic was.
You did mention it offhand.
Right,
but it's like...
So our first topic is going to be what our podcast name should be.
That, honestly, I feel like that's a really good topic to start us out on.
I personally was of the opinion, let it be known, that a podcast should probably start with a name for marketing purposes, but this is fine.
Listen,
what are we even going to upload this as?
YouTube has a fancy podcast section.
But like, what are you going to call it?
I have no idea. That is a problem for future Shad to solve.
All right, fair enough.
But speaking of problems
we'll wait till the comments come in, and then we'll figure
You're just
going
to keep updating the name as the comments come in?
Yeah, absolutely. But hey, people who are watching this podcast, we have a very important problem. As you may or may not have seen, we don't have a name.
Yes.
We don't know what we're doing with this name, so we could use some assistance.
We had
for
candidates.
Said name. We have a couple of candidates for this name, and if you have any more, leave them in the comments. Let us know. Please. In any social media you can find it. Send us a carrier pigeon if that is your inclination.
Please, for the love of all that is precious, leave a comment.
Leave a comment.
Leave a comment, like, and subscribe, and hit that bell notification. So
no! Don't hit the bell. Don't. The bell is rude.
Does the bell not do anything?
No, the bell does things.
Okay, I don't know.
It just does what the subscribe button is supposed to do.
Wait, no. Why?
What is you hit the bell You hit the bell so you get a notification every time they upload something new.
Where do you get the notification? Is it like an email? Does it send you an email?
It's at the little top.
It sends you a text message.
Into YouTube.
It sends you a text message?
Yeah.
Really?
It doesn't send me a text message. I just have it at the top of my screen that says notifications.
Yeah, it's a little notification icon. But I like the idea of YouTube literally pulling out their phone and sending you a text message.
Well, they have a bot for that. But I don't know because I've never hit the bell on anything before.
Hey guys, just to inform you, we really go on a lot of tangents.
Yeah, that's true.
We can't get the main topic
We tried to get our names out there, and we couldn't even get that.
Well, okay, so that's what the point of this podcast was we do streams, and we never reached the point in our streams because we tangent a lot. Like, me and Shad are part of a stream where we've been streaming Fatal 12. It's a visual novel. It's been going on for far too long because... like, 60 to 75% of it is not actually playing the game. It's just random tangents.
Yeah.
And then Kyrie, Shad, and I are also playing Disco Elysium, which is suffering a similar fate.
I can bring us back on topic if I need to.
But it's too much fun.
There's been a couple of tangents where, like, I'm not gonna lie, we have had a very good tangent while just standing next to a dead body.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. Yeah. Actually, we've done that multiple times.
We've had a lot of that. Like, literally, we were at a dead body not too long ago, and we were just having to talk about, like, the soup situation.
Oh, the soup situation.
Can you do me a favor, Shad?
I might
What Kyrie just said.
Yeah.
Can you cut that and put that in the front of the podcast, like as the stinger thing?
You want me to? Okay.
Without any context.
We're making stingers. Okay, yeah. I can do that.
Without any context. Well, like, it's going to appear in the podcast again later. But, like...
But, like, you give a brief
just
clip
up front, like,
of, like, this is what you're going to get.
I want the first thing the viewers hear to be the we hung out at a dead body talking about soup thing. Without them, like, having the context of it being a video game or anything. I just want that.
All right, everyone. If you have lasted over 12 minutes so far, congratulations.
Well, theoretically,
you know the
cut
context.
some of this out.
I mean, it's a podcast. Why would I cut any of this out?
It's gonna run long, Shad.
It's gonna run long, I know.
Well, maybe we make 2 podcasts out of it.
Oh,
Shad,
God.
we talk a lot, but not all of it's winners.
No. I mean, what do you think podcasts are? Do you think every podcast has a winner? Do you think every single
I love
moment?
How Shad, just like the no fact hold, I see pending staring at me. We're not always winners, Shad. Just like, damn, I've never seen or heard pending hit so hard in my damn life. That was ice cold.
Shad, I don't know how to tell you this.
It's gonna be worthy of being cut, is all I mean.
No, we're keeping that entire bit now because you saying that is worth it.
All right.
The entire point of a podcast is to just keep going.
I feel like editing is an important part of a podcast, and I say that because we have kindly dumped the editing job onto you.
Kindly, I am the only editor out of us.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Well, no. This is Shad's project. Shad wanted to do this, and he said I would edit. I told Shad I could contribute what I can, which is the time, and I said I can help contribute topics, and I can find news sources and stuff, depending on, like, which routes we go to. I can find the sources and things like that to talk about. Like, I'm good at information gathering.
I didn't offer any of that.
Pending,
you have the personality.
Thank you.
Okay, pending. I had an idea earlier, and I wanted to drop it on you live right now.
Yeah, go for it.
So, you are an incredible artist. We need thumbnails for this podcast.
Do you want me to draw?
I would love it if you could, like, throughout the podcast, just make a little doodle of what we've been talking about, or what your interpretation of what we are talking about is.
I don't know how to do that, in the sense that I don't know how, because we're going to be talking about different things.
Oh, no, it'll just be a giant collage.
It doesn't matter. You could literally, for this episode, draw a bowl of soup. And it would make no sense.
Like,
but
just
because we mentioned soup, you got a bowl of soup.
Yeah, it's like, if we mention a bird, you now just have the opportunity to draw a bird.
See, I love the idea that there might be people who are not aware of us that are watching this, and you just told them, like, you are an artist and all that, and they're gonna, like, be seeing the thumbnail. It's like, I wonder when the artist is gonna start supplying thumbnails.
You doubt yourself so much, pending, and it's adorable. But you're a great artist, and you've been slowly progressing, and I'm very proud of you for it.
Thank you. That is what I am going to draw today. Will not convey that.
Right. Yes. But that is fine.
Yeah.
We are not
We can
trying.
all do one at one point. That's all us drawing.
Oh God, there is a program we could use that's just all of us drawing on the same canvas at the same time. We could do that.
Okay, that's
not
one episode
today.
idea. Future Shad, we have another episode idea.
Future Shad is going to be really upset.
Future Shad's going to be very busy.
Future Shad's going to be very busy. But you know what's never busy? Us trying to get back on topic. Hey guys, we need a name for this podcast.
Okay, so here's how we're going to do it.
Right.
I will go through the options. I will explain a little bit behind them so you kind of get some context. And I'll just go one by one. And if you guys want to chime in after that one, all good.
Yep.
How does that sound?
That sounds great.
That way there's a tiny itty bitty bit of structure.
Yeah.
The littlest bit of possible structure we could have. If this structure starts taking us 30 minutes, I am sorry there is so much in between. But this is what we do. This is the entire reason you are hearing our voices right now.
Alright.
Okay.
So, first one is one I worked really hard on.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Unspoken.
Can you spell that out for us?
It's capital U N, capital S, capital S, capital P O, capital K, capital E N. Unspoken.
I liked Unspoken. I don't. We speak a lot, so like there is something about it that is not necessarily factually true, but at the same time, I like the idea of that as our name.
Well, so it comes from, and let me explain this a little bit so they kind of understand.
Yes.
It is actually from a sentence I created that means something. So it's the untold stories Shad, Pending, or Kyrie entertained. And it's supposed to mean the stories that we wouldn't usually tell on our stream end up here. So they're unspoken.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That makes sense.
It's
Got
a very
any
good
input
idea.
on that one? Yeah. Shad,
I think.
any other points for that?
I think I like Unspoken as the name.
I like Unspoken as one of the possible outcomes. It's not my favorite one we have on the list. But
you were so dead set on Oddcast.
love the Oddcast. It's great, but we'll get there.
We'll go over these, and then I'll go over some pros and cons for both of them after we're done.
The biggest thing that I have, I really love Unspoken. It rolls off the tongue really well. The only thing I look at is that's a pain to type into Google.
Well, it's all going to be lowercase after that. So it all goes to lowercase, and it's just going to be 2 S's, and that's how it would separate us from the other unspoken
Every unspoken podcast on the internet.
So there is a multitude of unspoken podcasts, but with unspoken, with us being 2 S's, that would distinguish ours from everybody else.
Yeah.
So as long as you know that it's 2 S's, it's perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Unspoken with the second S.
Yeah.
Okay, the second one, I created Skip. Shad has added Oddcast to the end of it because for some reason he likes Oddcast.
It's such a good bit. We are an odd cast. I love how it rolls off the tongue.
We are odd. I don't know that I don't know.
It's odd.
We are an
odd.
odd cast.
Oddcast is odd. Oddcast makes it feel odd.
Yeah.
It is very much my style of naming convention.
It is. It is your style. It is. I get it. I can understand, if we had a funny script, instead of podcast, someone would have wrenched the P off the wall and hung it upside down, in between the O and the other D. And so it would say Oddcast that way.
Yeah.
You'd have like the little shadow of where the P used to be.
Little gremlin is stealing the
But
P.
Pending had a really good idea for skip, where it's SK and then the fast forward button and P, which would be Shad Kyrie fast forward pending.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where
Which
you could
I
also
liked that. That
you
was
could
cute.
where you could
Yeah.
also read it as the SKP Oddcast.
Odd is just odd.
It's
you
very
really-
odd.
That's so like
you really want to
so
tie
we're-
Oddcast to it.
He really does.
I do.
He really does.
We could
do.
have Oddcast as like a separate thing though. Like it doesn't have to be all together.
Oh no, absolutely not.
Like
So
like what I mean
the
is
other
any of them
one-
can be Oddcast. So we could have like, should we add Oddcast to the name as a separate question?
yeah. So the third one was of course combining the two for unspoken and oddcast. Because once again, Shad likes oddcast. I like
it.
unspoken. I put a lot of thought and a lot of effort into it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And that's why she doesn't want it to be sullied with your extra
With
word
the
of
Oddcast.
I don't.
Yeah.
I don't. I really don't. Like, even when Shad tried to spell out the entire thing as the title, I'm like, no, you have to drop that. Like, that's how we explain what that means. Like,
That's the
It was-
subtitle. How
Yeah,
dare
so-
you?
when you introduce this is the Unspoken Podcast. You're only going to have Unspoken Podcast, like, on as the title. But then when you intro it, we were like, these are the untold stories Shad, Pending, or Kyrie entertains. Like, you're never going to have that whole long sentence into there. So when Shad put it as the title, I'm like, you get rid of that! And
Get
I yelled
this
at,
out
I yelled
of
at Shad,
here.
I'm like, it's just this! So I got onto Shad about that.
Right.
I got stuck on it, and I can't unsee it now.
Yeah.
I'm like, this has to be the thing.
But these are our current options for the podcast. If you guys have any better titles that you can come up with throughout the entire podcast listening experience, you know where to put them. You know where to yell at them from the heavens, and I hope you know which pigeons to grab.
What?
We will have all of them written in the description so you can look at them physically.
Mm-hmm.
See if one kind of makes your fancy, one kind of hits a little bit different than the other. Or if you have your own suggestion, maybe you think you have something better. Trust me, we've thrown about 20 ideas at the wall, and only these ones have kind of stuck. So maybe you come up with something different that we like. Who
Yeah.
knows?
Maybe
You get a special shout out from us if we pick it.
maybe you are better than us at this.
Maybe. Just maybe.
All right, I like to think I'm pretty good at this. so
I mean,
maybe
you
you're
did
not.
good
come
at
up with a
this.
lot of names.
Yeah.
I like to name stuff.
Yeah.
That's why I have a name for every stuffed animal I have.
How many
Really?
stuffed animals do you have?
Hundreds.
Okay.
I got a new one today.
What kind is it?
It's a Cinnamoroll Squishmallow.
That sounds adorable.
It is. Cinnamoroll's in a little pink onesie with a little pink flower. It's
Aw.
like the little like spring one. So I have a cute little Cinnamoroll buddy.
I love it.
That sounds very adorable.
So
But
yeah,
speak-
tangent over.
Tangent-
Naming things. We're good.
Well, I think
Go
that was
Boats.
us being on topic.
That was
Right.
yeah. You know what? That was us being on topic for a change. It's time to start another tangent, and this tangent will actually be the topic I described many weeks ago.
Right.
So
Yeah.
when I first came up with the podcast idea, I wanted us to have like a sort of icebreaker for
Yeah.
just general use, and if we ever bring guests on, it'll be a nice sort of like pace setter, you know? So I came up with the topic of name a piece of media and describe it that you love to, like, it's memorable to you. You love this piece of media, but under no circumstance would you recommend anyone else consume it.
So I have one for that.
Yes.
And I'm not 100% sure if I'd go as far as to say under no circumstances would I recommend it to anyone, but I don't think so, and I'll explain why. Honkai Star Rail. There's a couple reasons. Well, there's two real main reasons why I would hesitate to recommend it to anyone. I guess I'll start by saying Honkai Star Rail is a gacha game. That would be reason one why.
That's a pretty big reason.
Yeah. Gacha games are, by their nature, kind of predatory. Now, I will say that MiHoYo is, like, maybe less so than other gacha games. MiHoYo being the company.
Somebody just hit me.
Mm-hmm.
Our viewers may not know what a gacha game is. Penny, could you describe a gacha game?
So what a gacha game is legalized gambling for children. Basically how gacha games work is you have the veneer of a game. And it can actually be fairly high budget. Like, Honkai Star Rail genuinely has a really, really good storyline. It has good graphics. It has an acceptable combat system. It is a turn-based.
Acceptable.
It is a turn-based game with only two buttons, essentially, an attack button and a skill. But, like, there's a lot of team building in it. There is a decent amount of strategy under the hood. The problem is that it's free to play, which means that you can download it for free, but...
We are not sponsored, by the way.
Well, I would think not.
Honkai Star Rail has not sponsored us to talk shit about Honkai Star Rail.
But the thing is, like, because it's free to play, they try to get your money in other ways. The primary way that they get your money is by essentially selling you the characters. What they'll do in a gacha game is you pay money for a percentage chance to get the character. You pay money for what is essentially a ticket. You put the ticket into the game, a virtual ticket into like the game system. The game will then do a random calculation with weighted odds and spit out something. It'll either be a 3-star light cone, which is the game's version of a weapon. So that's the worst. Well, a 3-star being the worst potential outcome, and also the most probable outcome. A 4-star character, which is not great, but still has viability in a lot of situations, or the 5-star character that you were hoping for. The odds of getting the 5-star character are fairly low, but MiHoYo does have a pity system in there, which is to say that after you do about 90 of these ticket rolls, you are guaranteed to get a 5-star. The first time you get a 5-star, it's not necessarily going to be the one that you were rolling for. But the second time, it has to be. So the absolute maximum you can roll without getting the character that you want would be 180. However, gacha games also are typically pay to win. And this game is no exception. Now, Honkai Star Rail is easier than your typical gacha game. So it is pay to win, but it is not so bad that you're going to feel like you have to spend money to get your characters powered up so that you can win. Because you don't necessarily need to clear even the high-level content. But that being said, if you do want to max out your characters, because every time you get a copy of your character up to, I think it's 6 or 7 times, one time for like the base level character, and then like another 6 times after that, you can, if you roll that character again, you basically upgrade them. If you want to do that, you're looking and plus get their light cone, the corresponding light cone for that character to make it even stronger. You're looking at spending potentially thousands of dollars. And there's a new character that comes out every 3 weeks. So if you really wanted to, you could spend all of your money on a gacha game, on Honkai Star Rail or a different gacha game. And again, like, Honkai Star Rail is, in the grand scheme of things, fairly friendly to free-to-play players compared to other gacha games. There are gacha games out there that are far more predatory. But to suggest that Honkai Star Rail isn't predatory is kind of like to suggest that a cat is less of a predator than a lion. You know, like, they're both predators, but the cat is a lot more cuddly and friendly and whatnot. Like, you'd rather have a cat around than a lion around. But they're still both predators.
You two are both cat owners, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So, would you rather have a cat or a lion?
I'd rather have a cat. The lion would kill me.
Understandable. Kyrie?
Why not both? There's plenty of videos around that when you raise a lion from a young age that you can keep it. You just have to have a certain type of enclosure and space, and it's just got to have a very fulfilled life.
Well,
There's plenty of lions who have been raised by humans that have gone on to live successfully in the wild and still return to see their humans every so often.
so I guess that's the case. Like, you can...
So,
you can...
I am an animal lover, so I want all animals.
Yeah. So...
But I also have a raptor for a cat, so...
Understandable.
So, yeah, that is basically a very, like, quick version of what a gacha game is. And
yes.
So that's part of the reason why I wouldn't recommend it, even though I actually genuinely enjoy Honkai Star Rail, and I don't spend that much money on it.
Okay, well, why don't we actually get into that? What do you actually really enjoy about this game? Because it's like, it doesn't seem like you particularly enjoy the combat sort of thing. So why don't you tell me about it?
I kind of do. Well, okay. So it's not actually the combat itself that I enjoy. I enjoy the team building aspect of it. Again, like, the team building, because, like, different characters have different synergies with each other, so there is some problem solving to be had where there's, like, a specific end game task to do, and, like, there's certain buffs and debuffs in play there, and you have to kind of construct a team to maximize your advantage within that space. So that can get pretty interesting.
So you like creating builds more than you like participating in the combat.
Yeah, and I suspect that is by design, in the sense that the team building aspect is more interesting than the combat aspect, because the characters are what they're selling you on.
Mm-hmm.
So they want the characters to be interesting and to be powerful, especially, like, the newer characters, as they bring out new characters.
Hey, you won't beat this boss, kid? Oh, you're gonna have to get that sexy dame over there. Oh, you're gonna have to fork over a cool 1,000 now.
And I don't want to be too mean to Honkai Star Rail, because, like I said, it is, like, more friendly than other games. Like, you can win while spending minimal to no money. However, that brings me to the second reason why I wouldn't recommend the game, and this is the other problem with a gacha game. It's been out for a year now. And gacha games, the longer they're out, the more stuff you've missed, because there's advance and stuff, there's promotions and stuff. So I feel like gacha games are kind of hard to get into after they've been out for a while. So Honkai Star Rail being out for a year now, it would be harder for someone to kind of catch up than it was for me, who started at the beginning. I'm a little interested in that because Honkai Star Rail does at least have permanent events. So some of the stuff remains. Not all of the rewards, as I understand it, but at least some of that original stuff is still there. So, yeah, I don't know. Like, because I've started other gacha games like later in their life cycles before, and it's never really been a pleasant experience.
No. What other gacha games have you like joined in on late?
There was Genshin actually. I joined in on that like about
Genshin Impact being another game
MiHoYo
from the
game.
same developer.
Yeah, and I didn't. That it was pretty hard to kind of catch up after missing out on like the first year and a half of that game or whatnot. Actually, I think it was even less than a year. I think I came into it like 9 months in or something like that, and it was kind of hard to catch up. Another one was Reincarnated as a Slime gacha game.
Oh, they have a gacha game.
Yeah, everyone has a gacha game.
Do you have a gacha game?
I wish I had a no.
I wish I had a gacha game. I could take all of your money.
Yeah, I wish I had the money from a gacha game, because gacha games, much like casinos, are essentially a license to print money. But yeah, so
just with hot characters on the front instead of the maybe promise of getting more money.
Yeah, the other thing I really like about Honkai Star Rail is I genuinely enjoy its story quite a bit. And that's why I hesitate to say that I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. Because if you feel like, if you're like of the mindset of like, I don't really care if I finish the end game content or not. Like, I don't feel like I need to collect the characters. I don't feel like I need to, like, do 3-star all the levels in pure fiction, which is like the current end game thing. Like, if you're of that mindset of like, I don't need all that, I just kind of want to have a enjoyable story, then I think Honkai Star Rail will have value to you without you slipping into like the gacha dimension of it.
So would you, if you had to recommend something, would you recommend someone say look up the story on YouTube rather than actually play the game for themselves?
I think there'd be merit to that, because while there are choices in the game, none of the choices are so impactful that you couldn't get the experience via YouTube. Like, that's kind of a thing about linear story-driven games in general in the world of YouTube. Like, a game needs to have value for the player outside of just the narrative, because the narrative can be viewed via YouTube. So either it needs like engaging combat or puzzles that you want to do yourself, or it needs to have choices, so you want to like have it be your story. You don't want it to just be the story that you're seeing someone else do. Honkai, it can have that. Like, like the combat isn't bad. Like, I know, like, I'm framing it as it's not my selling point, but it's not like terrible combat. So like, maybe for some people, and the choices, like some of the dialogue options, even though they're inconsequential, they can be funny. So like, you might get some value out of playing it yourself instead of watching it in YouTube, but at the same time, yeah, you get a lot of the same experience by just watching a YouTube video. So, you know, I guess it depends on and the upside of that is you can have it on in the background while you're doing something else.
You can let the game play itself.
Yeah.
Kyrie, what's your experience with Star Rail, if any?
I have none. I couldn't get into it because I don't like the fight system.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, you were main
Instead,
one to Genshin, right?
I was really big into Genshin. I just downloaded Wuthering Waves. So I'm trying Wuthering out. It's kind of... It hits a lot of things for me. Like, I like their core system. They have an interesting thing with their echoes. Like, the entire concept of this game is based upon noise waves cause reverberations that can leave behind things that are like a astral projection of what the monster you just defeated was, and you can use your powers to then like suck up that creation to then be able to use in fights and like empower you and stuff. And so
Is this
it's
just
kind
Pokemon?
of not quite. Not quite. So like you have to defeat the creatures first, and it's a small chance that this echo happens where it leaves behind this projection of them, and you only have so long to collect it. But if you collect it, you can turn into that power. So think of it kind of like more like a Digimon kind of aspect. Like, I was able to defeat a giant wolf, and now I can summon a giant wolf that, throws things around for me. He only lasts like 3 seconds, but it gets a big AoE hit off. So I've been playing that one. There's a lot of things that are kind of like a miss for me. Like, I hate some of the jumping mechanics. I don't really like the locking mechanic for the targeting system. I haven't hit an interesting point in the story yet, but I'm only like a day into it, so maybe that'll change.
Yeah.
I mean,
But it's a generic amnesia plot so far. And
it's one of them.
Yeah.
So it hasn't really developed past that.
Have like an amnesia plot. I think in part just because it's easier to self-insert yourself if your character doesn't have a backstory. And
there's another type of gacha game. And I recommend people to go and look at these types of games because they're much more like player friendly, especially if you're a free player. The one I play is called AFK Journey. And what it does
I have been seeing ads for that all over the place.
So AFK Journey comes from a different game of its series that was made by Lilith Games, and that was called AFK Arena. And I loved it. I loved it. I played it till I maxed out my characters and like was struggling to get the last little bit, but I loved it. They have very inventive characters that you can pull. You can pull everybody right at the start. You don't have to fight, and it just kind of depends how you want to build. Which characters you like the best is how you end up building into the game. And so you can pull one of every character almost right off the bat. And it was really nice because I got in the old game, I got all the dark creatures. So I'm like, I really like the darkness stuff. That's where I'm going to go. That's where I'm going to build. And It was very much an AFK game. Well, this AFK Journey has, the AFK setup to where you get passive loot and stuff like that, and experience. But the main story quest is inventive. It's created. It has the amnesia plot, but they hit you from a different direction. You've already made your journey. You've already made your stance in the world. You've developed into a great magician for your time period. But because of how much magic you have had, it goes off into spurts. And it just like gets away from you. And when that happens, you lose pieces of your memory. And so everybody around you already knows this happened because they know you're a great mage and this is just a side effect. But you're going around and you're helping people and trying to figure out what you've already done in the past to fix the future.
That's an interesting idea.
It's an interesting idea, but the entire thing is you play for a month, you have one of basically every character.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
And then it's just a matter of what you pull from there. You have they have the character banner where after so many pulls, you automatically get the character. But it's like 40 pulls.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a lot smaller. And it's a much more impactful then. You have your standard banner, which is commons, like your common gem, the normal standard banner that you would have in Genshin, where you can get your 4 stars and an occasional 5-star. And then you have a specialty banner. And in that specialty banner, you pick from the 5 stars. You can pick like 4 or 5 of them. And you have a better chance of pulling those than any other 5-star, and you get a 5-star every like 30 or 40 pulls. And they constantly give you the things you need to pull. So I mean, I'm sitting here every night pulling like 60 times because you get that many in a night as long as you just, participate.
Oh, that
and
is
so
handy.
it feels a lot better, and I haven't had to sink any money in, and I feel like I already have, an amazing team.
That's interesting, because I know a lot of gacha games, mobile games, or free games in general tend to do this thing where they'll give you a lot of stuff up front, but eventually you just run smack first into a wall.
Yes.
Where you're not getting as much stuff as you used to. I'm wondering if AFK Journey?
Yeah.
Was it? I'm wondering if that game has that sort of wall built in. How was AFK Arena with the wall?
So the wall only hit for endgame.
Right.
Because you have to star up characters. And so in that game, it was more like to get to a 4-star character, you had to sacrifice the same character that was a 3-star level. But to get to that 3-star level, you had to sacrifice that character at a 2-star level. And to get it to a 2-star, you had to sacrifice it at a 1-star.
Man.
And so on and so forth. So you had to draw the character like 20 times to get it to that
There's
point.
something about that system that is weirdly appealing to me. The idea that I have to, like, build up this character from 3-star to 5-star by drawing it over and over again. There's, like, take away the fact that there's a huge money aspect to it. I don't know what it is, but I love the idea of that.
It feels more rewarding when you draw it a multitude of times. I will tell you that right off the bat.
At that point, it isn't even it's the most basic system in a lot of video games. It's just leveling up.
Well, here's the thing.
Leveling up is satisfying.
It's not just a leveling up system. You are correct that leveling up is satisfying. It's the random chance of it. Like, a regular game doesn't have a lot of random chance when it comes to leveling up specifically, because there's no real need for that.
Think of it this way.
And even if there was,
in terms of Genshin.
Yeah.
In terms of Genshin, for your character to go from level 60 to level 80, you needed so many pieces of a special item.
Yeah.
Instead of that special item, it had to be copies of that character. So like in AFK Journey, the newer version, you have to draw the character so many times for it to ascend, is what they call it, to where you get to a higher level. So you can ascend it to a certain point, but maybe you only need 2 copies of the character. Or you need 100 light pieces, which is the basic 3 stars turn into a light piece.
Right.
Or a dark piece, or whatever, faction it's from. It turns into
they turn into their
piece.
elemental thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you either need 2 copies of that or 100 light pieces. Well, if you have the normal banner, like I have, the one that you can pick which ones you want, I can pick which 2, 3, 4, main characters I get, and I've already leveled them up way past normal because I've drawn them 5, 6, 8 times.
It feels like, unlike other gambling gacha games that use these sort of systems, the AFK series tends to have a lot more control over how fast you can build your team.
Now, like I said, when I first started, yes, I got, probably close to 100 pulls. And I don't get that right now. But I'm still getting 60 pulls if I wanted to.
Mm-hmm. But it also seems like every pull is still useful.
Mm-hmm.
even if, like, let's say, I got 2 of Schmorgel Borgleton. But
Yeah.
Schmorgel Borgleton is the element of goo. And I can use 2 goos to help my analogy get back on track.
Like, my favorite character, I think her name is Temescus. And she is a light knight. She's a tank, technically, that rides a horse. The only
Right.
one that is a mounted character. And she's a tank. She runs around the battlefield hopping over every single thing. Her ult is she does a giant AoE stomp and it stuns everything around her. So it just does a serious amount of damage for a tank. I've pulled her to the point that she is beyond a legendary character. Like, there is no amount of pulling that I can do that other characters would take at least probably 5 or 6 other pulls for them to be even close
Right.
to, like, her level. But I
She is
got
the
that
Ubermensch.
so easily. And I feel like I could do that to any character if I really put my mind to it and said, okay, I want this character to level up. So I'm just going to change around these champions. I'm going to go ahead and make sure this banner's on him and him alone. And I'm just going to pull for him. And I'll get 60 pulls by the end of a big session. And just be like, okay, this is how it's going to work.
Yeah.
And it's like, if I get to a point where I'm stalled, you close the game. That is the best part. You don't have to grind. You don't have to sit there and trying to farm something. You just close the game. You come back the next day. You have all the experience, all the gold, all the items to upgrade your character then.
Right.
And you don't have to fuss with it. They don't force you to play something that you don't need to do. And that's
So you're
probably the
saying-
best part about this is if you don't have anything to do, come back tomorrow, there will be something.
Indeed. So, are you saying you would recommend people play AFK Journey?
Absolutely. I've been loving it. I've been playing it for a month solid.
What about something you wouldn't recommend people do?
Dating sim games, like mobile dating sim games are the worst thing I have ever experienced.
So I don't.
And you will see it immensely with Japanese and Korean games, because Shad knows how much I like dating sim games. I have a range of them on my computer, from serious games like Dandelions to like the spoofy, like funny ones, which is like Hooked on You, which is the Dead by Daylight one. There's funny ones around.
Can you explain what's wrong with mobile gacha games? Not mobile gacha games. Sorry.
Mobile gotcha.
Mobile
Oh,
there's a
dating
lot of
games.
things.
Yeah.
For every choice that would matter for you to get closer to a character, costs money.
Ah, so it is gacha.
Oh, there's the
It's
there's
not
the
gacha,
rub.
it's just pay to win.
Oh yeah.
Every
Well,
single
gacha and pay to win
situation.
kind of go hand in hand a lot of the time.
Every single situation. There are some games that do it better than others,
Right.
but in every situation I've seen, and you will see this with a bunch of like the otome games, that if you want this character, you have to stay on his path. You can only have 5 chances a day to progress his route. So you barely even get through a chapter of his route. And then you have to hit checks the entire point, like love checks, to make sure you can go on. And if you don't, you have to do either little quests on the side, or you have to pay to get it up to that point. And then only then do you get to unlock a special episode, but you have to pay for the episode. So it's
This
not even
feels-
like a special thing. You're just paying for, inevitably, a fan service.
Right.
This feels like it is infinitely more time, effort, and stress than just buying a regular visual novel.
So there's a few, like Dandelions is one I loved. And it's because it's from a really famous Korean producer called Jersey. And I love them. They do wonderful. They did, and I don't remember the name of it off the top of my head. I'd have to look. But they did a dating sim game that was a real time. And it was you just on the phone, stuck in a house because you got lured there by someone. And now there's bombs all over the place, so you get, like, someone left their phone on a bus or something like that. And so they had their address taped to it. And you just wanted to return it, but the house was open. And so you were scared, but you decided to peek your head in. And there's a security system on it that locked you in. And so now you're kind of stuck there, and you're talking to these dudes that are on the phone, and you realize these are the only people you can communicate right now to kind of figure out what's going on, because there's this entire plot about how you got this phone. But
I'm just thinking about it here, and I'm like, I would never go into that house. And if I did even go up to that house and the door opened on me, I'm just chucking the phone in there. I'm not going anywhere near that place. Screw that house.
And Shad, but that's why you'll never date anime boys, because you're not willing to take the risk of going into that random house.
I don't even know if they're anime boys. I might just be dating a phone.
You don't know that.
It might be a really, really well-endowed sounding phone.
Yeah, I guess that's possible.
So
I am trying to look it up now.
Yeah.
Because it's such a good story. I absolutely was attached to it.
Is this a mobile game phone or a mobile game? Really? Okay.
It was a mobile game. You just had to log on at certain times to get like little storylines, and you would slowly learn about the different characters. There was one character who was sweet and innocent, loved animals. There was another who was a boss of a corporation. You had his assistant, who was just a hard-working woman who was just trying to find some time to rest. You had another guy who was just named V.
For Vendetta?
Like V for Vendetta.
Oh, I thought you said the, like THE, and I was like, that's a really weird name.
No, like V for Vendetta. And so, like,
I'm gonna
they
call this
all
man
had
5.
unique stories.
You call him whatever you want. That's fine.
I will.
Yeah.
So let's see. I'm trying to find it. But keep talking. I'll find it.
Yeah. So I think the biggest thing is like, so you like this game. Would it also be something you like recommend, or does the gacha mechanics really just be like, no, do not play this. Do not play this.
I am into Wuthering Waves. I don't recommend it right now. I do not recommend it. And it's simply because I don't have a lot that I can say that's good about it just yet. I'm a sucker for these kind of games, but I also, like, spend a lot of time not doing anything because I was stuck in a bed for a long time. So I had the time to wake up at 1 a.m. to go through the random, chat that was going to happen.
Right.
And I had time to be able to be like, okay, it's now 3 a.m. I'm going to go through the next, conversation because you missed so many. And then different things happen in the game, depending on who you miss.
Kyrie,
I'm obsessed. I will wake up every 2 hours on the dot. And I did when I was bedridden. I woke up every 2 hours on the dot just to see what the next conversation was. Because if you miss so many conversations, then you were just fucked out of a character plot. And so you had to. And it would take you 6 weeks to be able to go through the entire thing for one route.
I'm just imagining, Kyrie, you're that fucking clip from SpongeBob of Squidward going, who the hell wants a Krabby Patty at 3 a.m.? Hard cut to Patrick. Oh
Mystic
boy, 3 a.m.
That was it.
Mystic Messenger.
You've never heard of Mystic Messenger.
No,
I have. It is a great fucking story, has great fucking plot, but god damn it, if you missed it, you had to pay real money to be able to go through it, and your entire schedule is fucked. If you wanted to get with the actor, you had to be up late at night to be able to get him, okay? Because he was a workaholic, and so he wouldn't get home till late at night. It was crazy.
That
Crazy.
is dedication to...
I dedicated myself between him and the hacker. It was insane.
Understandable.
God
It was
damn.
insane. But
Did you eventually get them?
I did.
Good job.
But then you
Yeah.
had to get... Okay, so here's the thing.
Oh no.
So here's the
Oh
thing.
no.
I got, like, a route or two with, like, each of the characters, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was probably, I'd say, 4 or 5 months of my life.
Right.
Each character had 7 different route endings. There were 7
What?
characters at the time.
Huh.
When
Oh,
I
Jesus.
was finishing up, they just released 2 more characters with like 5 or 6 more endings each. Each of these takes 6 weeks to be able to do.
Wow.
Real life weeks?
Yes, real life week, real time weeks.
What the
Well...
You know,
Yeah.
I'm gonna be
So
honest.
that's kind of the other thing about gacha games is they design themselves to kind of take a while because they want to give you the impression that you're getting your money's worth, and they want to kind of...
This was just for 2D anime boy love.
No, it's understandable.
I just wanted pretty redheads and silver-headed boys to love me.
That's fair. No, it's fine. You did.
I got them. It's okay.
Yeah.
But that was a lot of time where I was stuck in, like, a bed without being able to do anything. Then I'm just like, okay, these boys love me. But yeah, I don't recommend it to anybody. Absolutely don't. I love the game to death. I love it with every single fiber of my being. I wish I had the time to make it happen again. Like, just, goddamn, don't play for it if you want a life.
Well, let me ask you
Like,
something.
Yeah.
If you had infinite money, would
Yeah.
you wail on gacha games?
Probably not. I think my money would be better spent elsewhere.
What
I think
What would you be spending? What would you be spending your money on? If
I think if I had just say like an unlimited wealth,
Mhm.
I'd be getting myself to a point where I'm debt free. I have a house. I could build my personal streaming room,
Mhm.
and then I think I would start doing my own business at that point because I can't just sit around doing nothing. I like
Yeah.
learning,
Mhm.
so maybe I'd go back to school.
I think
That's something
Yeah.
I love. I loved learning growing up. I still love learning. I still pick up books to this day about learning different things. I think I would go to a college or classes or something just to pick up a new talent. Because, like, I used to do pottery in high school. I would love a pottery wheel and a
Oh
kiln.
man, that would be so nice.
I would love to learn how to... I'm going to be learning how to cross-stitch here soon. Like, I was determined, like, I wanted to learn how to make patches and quilts and, like, make different things like that. I would love to make a D&D board. Like, I have this giant idea of making a D&D thing, which I have to ask you about later, pending. But I am going to be putting together my first campaign as a
Ooh,
D&D
sounds fun.
character. Shad knows that I've been gushing about it nonstop with Shad. But yeah, I am excited for my first D&D campaign. I'd love to have a full table. I'd love to have the minis already prepared. Minis cost a small fortune.
Yeah, they do.
And so it's like, for my campaign, I would love to have them already done and set. And that to be my first memory going into D&D, is being a DM that has everything I need possible.
Right.
So that's kind of where I'm at, is like, I would get my hobbies in order, and then I'd try to expand my knowledge, I think.
Yeah, I think that's...
Yeah.
Because at that point, I'm only limited by time.
Yes. Oh man, but time is such a big
Yeah.
limiter. Like,
Yeah.
It is.
I think,
and you know
I
what?
think
Like, partially that's just because of a lack of money on our part. Because we have to dedicate so much of our time to making money. If we didn't have to do that, we could
Yeah.
we would have so
So-
much more money for things.
So pending.
Or so
what
much more
I'm
time for
hearing,
things, yeah.
What I'm hearing is,
Yeah?
if we all had the same paycheck,
Uh-huh.
and we all got the same amount of money, and we were all equal under the grand flag of
No,
communism.
that's not what he's saying at all, Shad. You stop that.
No, what I'm saying, I'm not saying change the system. I'm saying make me rich within the system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You just want to be the one on top of the system, throwing peanuts down to the heathens down below.
I don't think I'd throw peanuts.
What
Well,
would
I
you throw?
kind of like peanuts.
I
You'd
would
probably
be-
kill Shad, though.
You would absolutely murder me.
Yeah. No, but like economic commentary aside, I do wish like I had like financial security to the point where I could dedicate, because like I'm learning Python and whatnot, and I'm enjoying it a lot, and I would like to have more time to explore like those interests.
I think that's probably one thing like everyone just kind of universally wants.
Absolutely,
Like,
yes.
I think the one universal want in the world right now is financial security.
Yes.
If everyone
And-
could
and
just
time.
be like, man, and time, like, that's the second one.
Yeah.
But if everyone was like, if I had infinite money, what would I do? I'd probably just, live life enjoying myself and doing all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's definitely very interesting. Just, though, for me thinking about it, I don't know what I do with infinite money. That is such a nebulous concept of like, well, now that the necessity for it has left, I'm going to need to pick up much deeper and more interesting hobbies.
I think I'd also support my friends.
Yeah.
Way more than I would
Yeah.
normally. Because, like, if you have financial stability, I think I'd want to help those who are definitely, like, not at that same part.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So, all in all, like, it's, I think without the money in hand, I wouldn't know what to do because I think there's too many possibilities without
Yeah.
a set goal in mind.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's
Like,
kind of
I
part of
would
the
love
nice
to-
thing though. Like once if you have financial stability already, you don't necessarily need to have the goals. You could kind of go where your passions take you.
Yeah.
Well, like, I think about it, like, if I had enough money, I'd do a cat rescue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, just have a big house where there's lots of little cats that I could, like, I've talked about fostering cats before, but that's money and time that I just don't have, especially for kittens. You have to be with them, feeding them every, 2 to 4 hours. That's a lot of work, but that's also a lot of money. And it's just like,
Yeah.
I would love to have the time to do that, which I kind of do right now, but I don't have the money to be able to put into it.
Right.
Yeah,
And
'cause
Delta's not a forgiving cat. She's very jealous. So I would need the space, which is also like, okay, I need more money then.
yeah, and
get
then you would also, like, having a cat rescue is not a one-person job either. That's a multi-person, like, you need to hire employees and all that stuff.
Depends on how many cats.
That's true.
I see cat cafes work out very well as long as you separate them appropriately. The cats are so self-sufficient, it doesn't matter.
You just need to give them the opportunity to be self-sufficient
Yeah,
Right.
and have checks and balances in place in case they can't be.
yeah.
But yeah.
What about you, Shad? Addicting games?
Not...
Are you into
so...
addictive media?
I am going on a very, very different direction.
Okay.
Okay.
In fact, this is the piece of media that inspired the topic to begin with. And anyone who has heard me over the last several months can probably guess where this is going. It's not a gacha game.
It's soup.
It's a... How did you know?
I know
Street
everything
Fighter?
about you.
No, it's not Street Fighter. I very much enjoy Street Fighter, and I would say I recommend people play Street Fighter if they're into that sort of thing. I would even say, hey, if you like games like Dark Souls or anything that's like really challenging, you should give it a go. Like, or if you're like tacitly interested in it, getting into those games that are not necessarily like easy going sort of thing that actually push you back are some of the most rewarding experiences you can get.
Mm-hmm.
What I am about to discuss was a experience.
Mm-hmm.
I do not know if it was rewarding.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely know it was not considered fun.
Mm-hmm.
What I do know is that it is a Russian game from the early 2000s that wants to kill you. It is a game called Pathologic.
Ah, yes.
Yep, and anyone who knows my suffering over the last couple of months has heard little bits and pieces about what makes Pathologic one of the most aggravating experiences that I am very glad I went through. Twice.
Really? So you're happy about this?
Pathologic is one of those games where I can look back on the experience I had and I say, I'm glad I went through that. That was a rewarding experience. I wish I never heard about it. I will never put this up to anyone. This was torture. Emotionally and physically draining to the nth degree. Oh my god, why would you make a game like this? Pathologic is very different from gacha games and gambling addiction. I willingly put myself through this knowing it was a miserable experience. The first time I even heard about it was someone telling me, don't play this, you will hate it.
Right.
I did this anyway. I needed to see. And I saw. So, Pathologic is a game about you playing as one of 3 doctors, coming to a little town in the Russian steppe to try and save it from the plague.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Dear God. Dear fucking God. That is the premise of the story. In actuality, what you are doing as the doctor is trying to survive for 12 days while the game does its best and succeeds in killing you over and over and over again in the most, I don't want to say ludicrous ways possible,
But you don't have another
but
word?
it drags you down. It puts you in the dirt and then asks you if you want to get back up. And dear God, there is something about that game that just kept me coming back. I was thinking about it. Like, day 5 for the 2 routes I played was possibly one of the most unforgettable experiences I have ever had in a video game.
Really?
So, I'm going to spoil it, because no one should go through Pathologic. Not a single person. Play Pathologic 2. By all means.
Okay.
I hear it's a much better game. I will play it eventually. I am Pathologic'd out right now. After 2 routes, dear God. So, once you have hit day 5 of 12 of Pathologic, you mostly have a sort of idea on how the days are going to go. You eventually get a letter. Says, hey, come meet me here. I'll give you a quest to go do whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And your quest for day 5 is very much, hey, we don't know how the plague is killing people. And it is killing people. You have a a blurb at the start of every day that says exactly how many people it's killed. So your main goal is to, as a doctor, is to actually figure out the cellular structure of the pathogen and figure out just how you're going to survive this or how you're going to cure it. And day 5 for the easy character, known as the Bachelor, is all about trying to do this. You get a quest that is very much... I'm repeating myself now. This game is driving me insane. So your main goal eventually becomes you have to find a still, or like not a still beating heart, but you have to find a fresh heart that has just been killed, and you need to deliver it to a man within half an in-game hour of you getting the heart. And so this becomes okay, I gotta go talk to this guy on the other side of town because he's really good at killing people. He can get me exactly what I need. And you do that, and you get the heart, you do that, and he says, okay, I will do that. Come meet me here at 9 p.m. If I'm not here at 9 p.m., I will have killed somebody and moved on because the authorities are chasing me. They don't like that I'm killing people.
That's rude of them.
And so you're like, okay, gotcha. I will meet you here at 9 p.m. Which means you now have the entire day free to do various side quests and other things that you need to do, like managing your meters.
What are your meters?
So Pathologic has several meters. Mm-hmm. You have your HP, your reputation, your hunger, your immunity to catching the plague,
I have hunger.
And how infected you are. And by this point, you have a pretty good idea on where you're sitting in all of your meters. And you kind of have an okay idea on how you're handling the entire plague situation. So a lady comes up to you with a side quest and says, hey, I can get you a lot of money. And I mean like a lot of money. I used to be in this troupe, and I know a guy, and we can extort him for a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And you're like, why are you like this? But you go along with it anyway because you need the money. The entire town is dying, and your hunger meter can only be filled by food you buy. You can't get food any other way, so you kind of need the money. So you go and talk to the guy, and he practically puts money in your hand to find his daughter. He is like, please, she ran away. She's not my daughter, but she ran away from me. I need you to find my daughter so that like she's gone. I don't know where I will give you more money if you bring her back to me. And you're like,
do you find her daughter?
Okay. So you find his daughter.
Okay.
And you actually have the option of being like, hey, you need to, like, I don't like you being around that guy. I'm going to get you out of town. Like, I'm going to get you into onto a train. I'll do what I have to get you out of town.
Right.
And what happens is she's like, okay, I will leave town, but I need to, I want to finish up my work here. And because this place has been good to me. And you're like, okay, sure. And when you get there, or when she says, okay, meet me here at 9 p.m.,
mm-hmm.
And my thought immediately goes, shit. I have the worst situation in the world because I need to meet with the other guy about the heart, and escort this girl to a specific location within a 30-minute time window before the heart goes bad that I need to bring to my other guy,
Before the
or I'm
heart
going to
goes
fail the
bad.
main quest.
What?
And so
What a thing.
I'm prepping myself for the most hectic little problem I'm going to have to solve with my meager walking speed. And I get to the point, I'm like, okay, I've got this. I'm going to save the girl. I'm going to do the best possible thing I can. It's going to be great. I'm going to finally do something good for the town. I get there. I don't see anybody. There's nobody here. Not the guy I needed for the heart. Not the girl. I don't see
Wait,
anybody.
did you arrange for both of them to be at the same location?
At the same... you can't arrange for them to be at the same location at the same time. They are just going to be at the same location at the same time.
Okay.
So I'm looking around. I'm like, where the hell are they? And I see a little bit of black in the grass.
Uh-huh.
I look over, and it's the heart. Oh, here's the corpse Artemy wanted me to grab. I grab the heart, and I'm walking away, and then it hits me. That was the girl.
Oh, no.
That was the girl I just sent to her death by trying to get her out of the town. If I did nothing, she would have probably survived. And then the game forces me to have a silent walk to my objective, mulling over what I just did. And it is quite possibly the most broken I have ever emotionally been in a game. And then people tried to stab me. It's just that kind of game.
Yeah, that sounds really sad.
Because this whole time I am currently, like, dealing with the emotional trauma that I just did, I'm also avoiding things like plague clouds trying to infect me, people throwing knives at me, and just everything else that could go wrong.
Can I make a suggestion?
What is your suggestion, Pending?
Because that's really sad.
Yes.
Let us not end on that sad note.
We're not, don't worry.
Let's shift gears.
To look
like,
at my
I wanna-
beautiful art that I've
I
been
see
making
what you have drawn,
the
Kyrie.
entire
That
time.
is-
Oh, let me see this art. There you go.
That is very pretty. But, just to put one final pin in Pathologic,
Uh-huh.
that is one day.
Oh, jeez.
There are 12. And 3 different playable characters.
I don't think I'm gonna play that.
Don't play
No,
Pathologic.
there's basically no chance that I would.
No, but dear God, that is an experience that changes a person.
Yeah,
I'm very glad I went through all
I can
of that.
understand the merit of that game because it definitely does seem like it makes you feel things. I just know that I personally could not.
No, and that's not even getting into any of the jank. It's an old game. You can't run in that game.
Right.
You move faster by walking at an angle because holding left and holding W means you're moving left and forward at the same time. It is a very old, very jank game. I'm very glad I went through it, but dear God, never play Pathologic.
Yeah.
And that is the game that essentially funded this topic.
Well,
God damn.
I'm glad you had your little therapy there. Can I?
You now owe me and Penny $12.50 a piece.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't worry. I will give you 12.5 pieces of something each.
Thank you.
12.5 worth of edits.
Yes.
Yeah, oh god. I mean, that's technically an hour of edits.
Yeah, this was a great strategy. Like we get a free editor.
A free short edit.
Yeah.
Half of a free short.
Okay,
edit,
half
technically.
of a free short edit.
So
there you go.
So here's my proposal. Because that's a very down way to kind of end things on, and like there's been a lot of negativity in today's podcast. So what if we shift gears and we each name one piece of media that we love and we would recommend to people?
You know what? That is a great piece. How about I start, since I brought the mood
Great,
down?
because I had nothing in mind, so I'll need a second.
Oh, thank you. I was thinking, oh man, Pending must have something really impressive in mind if he wants to shift gears to something like that. No, okay.
Let me recommend to everyone Honkai Star Rail. Let me sell you all.
But you just said
Wait
don't
a
play
minute.
Honkai Star Rail.
Wait, I'm getting mixed messages
Yeah,
from
but
this.
since then, MiHoYo's check is cleared. So let me
okay.
regale you about this award-winning mobile game.
You just see that next episode we're sponsored by Honkai Star Rail.
Man, that would be hilarious.
I'm not above taking their money.
I am also not above taking their money. I'm not above taking anybody's money. If you want to sponsor this as of yet unnamed podcast, contact me.
Yeah.
I'll read your sponsors.
Yeah.
I get some weird sponsors. Some weird people reach out to me.
Some weird
So
stuff.
so I have a Twitter account named
Me too.
Yeah, but I have a second Twitter account named Subtitles Best.
Yeah.
Why I have that isn't relevant. It's for an old character that I haven't used in a while, but I have it, and sometimes I'll get emails for people that want for me to do like a sponsored stream or whatnot, emailed addressed to that Twitter account, and I'm like, that Twitter account has not done anything in years, and also it only had like maybe 80 followers. Why are you sending an email address to this character?
What do you?
How did it end up on your mailing list?
What happened to you?
Yeah. So I don't know. It's fine.
That is very, very peculiar.
Yeah.
But I can start us off with a recommendation. This is a very easy recommendation for me. I have this game that I really enjoy. It is called Spark the Electric Jester 3. It is essentially Sonic Adventure 3 and if you know what that means, like, good on you, but it is a high-speed platformer that, oh my god, that is one of the best controlling platforming games I have ever played. I could tell from the first trailer I saw that was going to be something beautiful, and oh my god, I wasn't wrong. That is one of my favorite games of all time. It feels good to play. It's got a really interesting story, and it's got some of the most interesting speedrunning tech you could ever see. And it's just a good game. Like, if I ever just want to play something fun, I'll go back and I'll play Spark the Electric Jester 3. That is an all-time classic to me. Just mwah, beautiful.
Awesome.
Kyrie, you got anything?
Does it have to be a video game, or
No.
is it just any media?
It is a piece of media you enjoy.
Yeah.
Then I think I have two.
Okay.
And I'm going to bypass the video games because I think we could talk about a whole shit ton of video games we would recommend.
We can and probably will spend a large quantity of the rest of our podcasting life talking about video games.
I'm going to go with one YouTube channel, and then I'm going to go with one anime channel.
Okay.
So one anime, and Shad will understand when I say this, Overlord.
Yep, 100%.
One of my favorite animes has 4 seasons. It's beyond amazing. So it goes along with the gaming idea of a guy is a part of a video game server. Him and a bunch of his friends made a massive guild of chaotic creatures and characters that didn't fit in the normal scope of human-like characters. They're lizard men, they're succubi, they don't fit in the normal category.
Slimes, skeletons, the usual cavalcade of enemy variety
Things
you would
they
find
would
in any
think
RPG.
are enemies, yeah. So the guy is the last one on the server. The game's about to end. And he's there to kind of ring in the joy as everybody gets ready to leave because they've all moved on with life and the game's about to move on. And so he decides...
Shut down and all that stuff.
He decides, I'm going to be the last one on the server. And that'll be my tribute to the entire guild and all the friends I've made.
Oh, that's sweet.
Except when the server shut down, he could no longer log out.
Oh.
So as he looks, he tries to find a way out. He steps outside and realizes he's not in a game anymore. It's a different world. And he now is no longer a human. He is his character, which is a giant skeleton man. He's a lich. And he now has his castle in the middle of nowhere. He has command of all the Desians that his friends had created throughout the years, and he commands them to go out and search. And it's him trying to find his own place in this world, and he realizes how sour this world is, how bad off it is, and he decides he's going to take over to rule it. And it's his world conquest story. He just decides the humans are crap, and so I'm taking over.
I'm gonna kill all the humans!
And he takes it to heart because he sees the people in power abusing those that are below them. And he's like, this isn't right. This isn't okay. And so he protects those with value. He asks those with talents, whether they're human or some other race, to come to his side to build a new world. And then he destroys that which is tainted and corrupting the place. And he just slowly realizes that all of his video game powers are still there. All of the items he has from his time adventuring for years and years are still there. And he's able to use magics beyond world comprehension. And he could destroy this world in a heartbeat, but he says, no, I'm not going to destroy it, I'm going to rule it. And it's this entire progress. It's an amazing story. It has great characters. Each character has a developing arc to it, so they become that who they're supposed to be. And there's funny moments. They have a good pacing, good tension, and the graphics are beautiful. Like, when you have a fight,
the graphics in this anime are beautiful.
So, I love it.
The one thing I want to add to Overlord is, it is quite literally a very well thought out and, like, it is a very interesting both political thriller and just really funny. Like, there's a running joke in the show where the main character will say something off key or like bumble his way into just saying some weird stuff, and then every single person around him will be like, "Oh my god, he's playing 5G chess. He's playing 5D chess. He is the greatest mastermind ever made, and this is all the steps we will use to get to his point that we have made up in our heads." And he just has to go like, "Yep, that's what I was thinking. Yep, yep, you guys got it."
Entire segment
it's
where
great.
it's literally just him with his 2 advisors, and he'll be sitting on his throne, and they'll ask him a question, and before he can even answer, the advisors come forth. How dare you? How dare you mock him? Obviously, he's doing this, and then that, and then this, and this, and this, and this, and that, and then he's just like, yeah, that's what I was planning, sure.
Yeah, yep, and then you get the internal monologue of, "I just wanted some eggs. I didn't want the eradication of all humankind. I just wanted some eggs." Or to something of that extent, not literally him wanting eggs, because he doesn't eat.
He's like you.
I wasn't gonna make the joke. The moment he doesn't eat came out of my mouth, I'm like, oh god, this is low-hanging fruit. This is such an easy bit.
Yeah.
And then the second thing I am obsessed with is a channel, and it's what's got me into D&D. It's a channel called Legends of Adventurous. And I've been telling Shad, I found clips of one of the characters doing a spin-off character. There's a joke in their D&D game about a guy that constantly kills clowns. And so one of the guys keeps turning up as a clown who keeps haunting him, named Chuckles. And it was hilarious. It was funny. I don't want to say any of the jokes. You should just go look up Chuckles the Clown. But they are avid storytellers. They make 5D books. I have been obsessed with their content lately. I'm almost caught up on their Once Upon a Witchlight campaign. They have like 5 other campaigns going on. They're turning them all into podcasts. I have become
like this.
I've become a Patreon member. I support them on Twitch. Like, I've never been so gung-ho about learning D&D until this happened, and I'm really, like, looking at it and be like, it doesn't have to be all about the combat. It can be all about the role play. And I feel like that spark I lost from not being able to LARP, I've gained back with D&D through this kind of community. And I love it.
LARPing and roleplay have always been like, or LARPing and D&D have always been
synonymous.
Like adjacent with each other.
It's hard because I never knew that. My first experiences with D&D were bad. Because you have shitty DMs, it can ruin a lot of things. But
I mean, yeah.
Seeing a good DM and seeing people who are so committed to role-playing the entire time and being funny and being hysterical and enjoying a campaign rather than it just being all dark and misery all the time. Which is funny because they actually have made like a horror-based folktale book expansion for 5e. It's called The Crooked Moon, if you've heard of it. But I'm seeing all of this and all of the characters that they love and build off of, and it's just fun. And I haven't had this much fun in a long time, and I'm found my spark that I use for roleplay with LARPing, and it's back in D&D again, which is why I am determined to build these campaigns and to have eventually a D&D campaign to stream to you guys.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
that is
awesome.
Legends of Adventurous. If you guys want to go check them out, or you can look up Chuckles the Clown, because that's how I found them.
Shoutouts to Chuckles the Clown.
Yeah.
Yes. But what about you, Pending? Did we give you enough time to figure out something?
Well, I could talk about like the anime that I've gotten really into recently.
Yeah, do that.
The Apothecary.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I was about to say it's either the anime you got into recently, or you're probably going to go on about Europa Universalis 4.
I mean, don't think I didn't give that some thought. The Apothecary Diaries. It's so what the Apothecary Diaries is it's based in fictional worlds, but it's loosely inspired by China in like the Middle Ages. I think it was the Yang Dynasty, but I'm not particularly knowledgeable about Chinese history to the point where I'm not even confident I'm saying the name The Yang Diaries correctly.
It feels so like I love Apothecary Diaries, so you saying that made me like squee internally.
Mm-hmm.
I actually read the manga because I'm like, the anime didn't do me justice. I need more.
Yeah, I've started in on the light novel now.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
I didn't go to light novel. I went to manga at least. But it is really, really good.
It is.
But it is very, very old Chinese based history. Like to the point women were not allowed to dabble in pharmaceuticals, like they weren't allowed to make medicines. It's that old. It's really old.
We're actually...
So women weren't in a place of power. You could have concubines at that time, but that was really it. That was the highest you would kind of relate to.
Hold on, that's actually really interesting, because a lot of like modern fiction tends to want to shy away from that sort of historical stuff. But I'm like, ooh, no, like let's see you explore that. I want to see where you can take this stuff. Because I'm imagining the Apothecary Diaries is, like, about a woman apothecary, right?
Well, specifically, very, very early in the story, she gets kidnapped and sold into, basically, slavery. She's sold to the palace. So she's part of... she's part of the emperor's...
the working class there.
Yeah.
She's not exactly a concubine, but she's part of the working class there.
Her initial assignment is laundry. So she's one of the ladies there that is just there to like wash the clothes. And there's a whole hierarchy in this part of the palace where like there are certain women that are like the emperor's favorites. And then it kind of goes down the scale. So your power in it is measured in part by how much like favor you have won with the emperor. And there are thousands of women there. So most of them would never see the emperor. And I'm talking about the emperor a lot. The emperor is not a main character in this.
The emperor doesn't show his face. Period. He shows his face maybe like 3 times.
Yeah, he's not important to the story, except as a plot device.
He is a plot device.
The only thing you need to know about is he's put a male in charge of, keeping the harem happy.
Oh,
because he trusts him and he feels that this man is pretty enough that he would be able to figure out if any of the concubines would sway.
But so, like, we're talking a lot about the political dynamics of it, and those are important, but at its heart, it's a mystery story.
It's a detective.
Really?
It's like a detective novel.
Because her background, her adoptive father was a doctor. So she grew up around medicine. She had a deep interest in medicine. And
specifically poisons.
Yeah. So... So, like, this isn't much of a spoiler, because this all will happen if you watch the first episode of the anime. This is stuff that's going to happen in the first episode.
Mm-hmm.
There are 2 new babies within the palace, area. The rear palace is where the all the women are.
Right.
A little boy and a little girl. Both of them are sick at the same time, and there's like allegations of like a curse or like maybe someone is poisoning them or whatnot, and
the classics.
And our main character, this young apothecary, finds out pretty quickly what the likely cause is. So she tries to, because she doesn't want to draw attention to herself, in part because she's for two reasons. One, because she was kidnapped and sold here, so a percentage of the money that she's making gets sent to her family, in quotation marks, her family being the people who kidnapped her. So she doesn't want to add value to herself, because that would just that would just increase like the benefits that her kidnappers had. The other issue is that it's very easy for like a young woman of like common birth and no particular value to be executed if they do something wrong. So she doesn't want to put herself in a position where she might be noticed by those in power, because she doesn't want to be put in a position where she might get in trouble.
Because she does this, and it also comes into play because she does get more value out of her, because she lets it slip that she can read and write very easily.
Yeah, she kind of gets tricked into admitting that very early on.
And it's an issue because that's the reason she's able to pass the knowledge. She kind of like tries to make it a point, like, it's part of her nature to help and save people, but she doesn't want to get involved in these politics. But she feels the need to save these kids, and she passes the info to these concubines to save the babies.
Yeah, she basically slips an anonymous note.
Yeah.
This is all still, by the way, in the first episode, so we're not like...
Right.
Yeah.
This is the initial plot.
In the light novel, we're talking about like stuff that happens within the first 20 pages of a 200-page first volume, and there's like 14 volumes. So this is scratching. This is just stuff that sets up the general premise. So basically, what our main character Mao Mao has determined or has theorized is that the whitening powder that they're using is poisonous.
It contains arsenic.
Yeah.
So, which is killing the kids.
Yeah, that'd do it.
Part of the reason why she figured that out is because it's not just the kids that are getting sick, it's the mothers too. And the two mothers have like a public argument about it, and the info that the mentioned during that public argument that Mao Mao just happens to stumble in upon because it was happening in like the garden area is how she pieces all this stuff together. So she slips at the anonymous note because she wants to help, but she doesn't want to draw attention to herself. The guy who is kind of like the administrator of the rear palace,
the one I said was in charge of like the harem, that the emperor put up to it.
Right, the overseer.
He's made aware of what happened, and the emperor's favorite how do you pronounce it?
She is a concubine.
Concubine, thank you. The emperor's favorite concubine asks him, like, could you figure out who like sent this note, because I followed the advice of this note and my daughter got better, so I want to know who did this, and I want to thank them. So he takes it upon himself to do it. He's actually really smart, and he's able to, with context clues, figure out who it was.
Like in great like Sherlock Holmes sense, the note is actually based on a piece of workers' clothing, specifically from a certain section.
Yes,
and obviously they know how to write.
Section. Yeah,
and so like he puts them all into a room together and says, "Okay, if you read this, go ahead and do what it says."
Yeah,
if not, he
holds up a note. He holds up a note that says, "You with the freckles, stay behind." and all the what Mao Mao doesn't realize is all the girls he's assembled have freckles, but she's the only one that stays, and she realizes that the note was just a test who amongst them could read. So by the time she pieces that together, she starts to
She's
walk
already
out.
caught. She's
Yeah.
already caught.
Yeah, and basically, eventually, he's able to kind of paint her into a corner where it becomes clear that she doesn't really have a leg to stand on in terms of, like, a defense. So she basically, at that point, just asks, like, what do you intend to do with me? And the solution is that they actually want her to be a lady in waiting for the emperor's favorite concubine. So
They
in that,
specifically want her to be the poison taster.
yeah. So in that new role, she is now in a position where, like, they start sending her other mysteries, and that's, like, kind of the premise of the.
It
Yeah, like,
becomes
the show.
Sherlock Holmes and
Yeah.
Watson, and it's amazing.
Yeah, like
Okay, I'm actually
Yeah,
gonna.
yeah.
Shad,
listen
I will
because,
watch it with you.
each episode is.
I'm
Each
interested
episode
in this one. That
is
seems
like
interesting.
usually a new mystery that she has to solve, and there's like overarching story too. There's kind of romance, not. It's hard to say. Like
it is okay. This is
it
a
has all the
shoujo
building
story,
blocks.
but
Yeah.
the main character does not deal with any of the shoujo.
Yeah, like she has like
Oh, okay.
no interest in romance whatsoever.
The only person who has an inkling of romance isn't even the concubines. It is the character, the male that is in charge of the harem.
Yeah, he kind of.
He dabbles in what would be romance. And the only other times you see anything along that lines has to do with the detective stories, because romance plays a big part in like the mood and the
Motives
motive
and
that go
whatnot.
into it, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
really interesting. I am
It
all
is,
game. For
yeah,
I'll
it is
have
a
to check that one
shoujo
out.
series without the overarching romance being the big thing. You have the mystery that goes into it is
I
so much more
feel-
compelling.
The mystery is the big driving force. It would not surprise me if eventually, like, and I'm saying this without having gotten far into it. Like, I watched the first season of the anime. I've read now almost the entire first volume of the light novel, which covers what is essentially the first 13 episodes of the anime. Based on the chapter titles of volume 2 of the light novel, I think that covers the other 13 episodes of the anime. So the first overarching season of the anime covers like the first 2 volumes of the light novel, and again there's 15 volumes of the light novel now. So there's a
So
lot
I would
of
probably
story
be
left
on like
to do.
4 or 5 for the manga.
Yeah, I think I think I heard somewhere that the manga has reached volume 4 of the manga.
Yeah. So I'm up there. I'm in the mid to late 70s.
Yeah. It
And
would
so
not,
I keep up to date with it.
yeah, it would not surprise me if somewhere down the line there is romance with relation to Mao Mao, the main character, just because it feels like a lot of these stories eventually go in that direction, but that certainly hasn't been the focus thus far. That certainly hasn't. There isn't even like a real inkling, because she doesn't care about romance. So like,
The only thing she
Right.
cares about is poison.
yeah,
Like,
she-
honestly, she loves testing poison.
Yeah, she has a real passion for poisons. That is like the she's
They call
like such
her
a
Mao Mao as like a cat because she's so curious. She always dives like head first into poison things.
yeah. It's a nice contrast because she's such a stoic character, such a measured character most of the time. But but like poisons are the only thing that like kind of make her like upbeat and happy.
God, I love the ability to make someone suffer. It just livens
No,
up
it's
my
not-
day.
it's not that.
You want some
It's
anthrax?
not like that.
Yeah, she doesn't want to.
She
She doesn't
doesn't.
want
She
people to
doesn't want to
suffer.
hurt people. She
Yeah.
does it purely to find like antidotes and stuff for this.
Yeah.
So like she,
actually,
makes it
Right.
cure all to kind of expel poison from the body to make you throw it all up.
Yeah.
She's made a super strong dose so that if any of the concubines would get sick, it takes one pill and up the poison comes.
The only person that she would ever actually use a poison on is herself, because she likes testing out poisons to see what
says
they
she
do.
likes the tingling feeling she gets from it.
Yeah. So
And I get called a
so,
masochist.
so she will test poisons on herself for fun, which makes her an ideal poison taster.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll sit
Yeah.
down and I will have you watch it with me because I love watching it. I'm so glad to see a bunch of our friends watching it now.
It's
It's
interesting.
honestly so good.
Yeah. I went through a bit of a journey with this anime, because when I initially started watching it, I'm like, this is interesting. I don't know that I like it. And the reason for that was it's such a depressing environment. Like, the anime itself isn't depressing.
Yeah.
But you think about, like, in the first episode, she is kidnapped and sold into servitude. Like, she is surrounded by other people who are basically, like, in servitude. So, like, it's a very morbid environment, but that's also just the world she's grown up in.
Like, she doesn't take it too harshly. She's like,
Yeah.
I knew this could have happened. I should have been more careful. I just hope my
Yeah.
father isn't too worried about me. Like,
Yeah.
that's her entire attitude on the situation. She's just
Yeah.
like, shit happens.
It's like, well, crap. Now I gotta deal with this. All right, this is my life now.
She's shockingly accepting of her situation, and I guess it's because, like, her life in general has been really hard. It's not like her life was good before this. As you'll find out
that's
more,
true.
things
her
go
story is very unique.
on. Yeah,
And
I don't
when
want to.
you realize it, you feel that painful sting again.
Yeah,
But she's like, look, I've made the most of my life. I've had a wonderful adoptive father, and I have a knowledge that most people will never have. And she
Yeah.
makes the most of it. And
Yeah.
she's
So-
truly happy with that.
yeah. So it's a very interesting story, and like I said, I definitely do recommend it. Anime is great. I haven't really dipped into the manga too much, but
I can
imagine
send you a website where you can read it all.
Yeah, sounds good. So manga, I'm interested in. Like I said, I've been reading the light novel. The light novel is very good too. I do enjoy the light novel.
Ooh.
And light novel
Well done.
compared to anime, they are the same story. So you're not missing out by watching the anime instead of the light novel. In fact, to some extent, you're getting more from the anime. The only thing you're missing a little bit of is being in the character's head. And interestingly enough, not even Mao Mao, because Mao Mao does have internal monologue in the anime anyways. But the other main character, the male overseer, his name is Jinshi, if I'm pronouncing it correctly.
Mm-hmm.
The light novel does spend some chapters in his head, and you get a little bit more of his outlook on the world.
I will
Then I
say
feel like you
the
get in the
manga
anime.
does too. Later on, you get a little
Yeah.
bit more from his side as well.
Yeah, so getting his perspective on things kind of adds more context, because like a lot of time you only get Mao Mao's view, which is good, but also like it's nice to get like that extra angle from time to time.
But yeah, I agree with Pending completely.
I will-
This is one I highly recommend.
Yeah.
Well then, I will definitely have to check that out before next podcast.
Yeah.
And when I do, I will definitely be sure to tell you all about my experience with it. It sounds like a very riveting watch.
By the way, looking
But,
it up, apparently it's based on the Tang Empire, which again might not be pronouncing correctly, but Yeah, apparently that's what it's loosely based off of, the setting.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Well then.
I think this is a good point to wrap up. What you say?
We've been going for 2 hours. This is a solid
Yep,
podcast.
We told you we could talk for a
but
long
yes,
time.
We can talk for a long
my
time.
only mistake / regret, not eating before the podcast. That was...
I definitely made sure
So
I did
next
that.
time, we'll make sure we schedule an hour beforehand. We have dinner together.
Yeah,
all bring
everyone
our
has
meal,
a
we all
have a
bring our
group
drink.
dinner.
We eat. We talk about some of the things maybe we want to touch topic with, and then, or maybe we review the last episode, see how it did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But yes, just to give you guys a bit of a idea of what the plan is, I am looking to have this be at least a once a month podcast where it will be uploaded on the first of every month.
Nice.
Usually this will give us the time to talk about the month previous and all of the media we consumed therein. However, I mean, if you guys feel like you want it more frequently or less frequently, let us know. If you want it like every other week, every week, let us know. I don't think we would have time to do it every
No,
week.
but also don't forget,
But,
we are asking your input on the name for the podcast.
Yes.
We will have the
Please
stuff.
help us.
We
We're
will
still
still
doing
have
that.
everything linked for you so you guys can see it, spell it, and then if you have a couple more ideas you want to throw our way, please throw them our way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep, 100%. And hey, maybe next time on the official first episode of the podcast, we might have a guest. Who knows?
It's a mystery.
Anything could
Wait.
possibly happen.
Wait, is this episode 0?
This is episode 0.
This is the pilot episode. We don't even have a title to name it. How could we say episode 1 if we don't know what to call it?
True.
Yep, we're at episode 0. So episode 1 we will have a name.
Yep. We will absolutely have a
Yeah.
name by the next episode.
Of this podcast.
And I think this is the time we can say, I guess we're signing off.
Yeah.
Thank you everybody for coming by. I have been Shad
I have
Kyrie
been
500.
Kyrie.
With me
I am going to eat maybe a burger.
Nice.
That
Yeah.
sounds great.
Also, I've been pending.
Take care everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.